Good evening, and thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here with all of you, and I want to send out special recognition to Robbie Banks, especially in a time of pandemic. Nobody could lead this organization like Robbie has. And frankly, I can't even imagine what Leadership Columbus would be without its leader, Robbie Banks. So thanks, Robbie, and you've done a great job. And you know, the purpose of Leadership Columbus and the point of it all is that you can't lead unless you know and understand the community in which you want to lead. You need to learn about the city's history. You need to learn about the city's challenges. And you need to learn about the city's successes. And I've known Leadership Columbus for well over 25 years and been involved in it and talked to many of you over those years. And many of the leaders of this city graduated from Leadership Columbus, and you're better off for it. It's almost like a precursor to leading Columbus requires you to have gone through this program to understand the values of the city, the successes of the city, the challenges of the city, how you can make the city better, and it makes you a better leader. That's what it's all about. So I'm one of the few people in the city who never been a member of Leadership Columbus. Shame on me. But I went through the school of hard knocks. I learned the hard way. A few successes and many, many mistakes. And we're not going to talk about those mistakes, but many of them. And through my almost 30 years of leadership in Columbus, I had the opportunity to develop my own style, my own principles that worked for me, what works, what doesn't work, and I defined my own version of leadership. And one thing I learned about leadership is that it's very difficult to define what it is, but you know it when you see it. And I've learned that leadership is an art, not a science. An art in this way. It's a blank canvas. And as an artist, you take that blank canvas with a brush and paint, and you begin to illustrate and paint this notion of leadership as you see it. It is not a science that has a formula that you can add 1 and 1 equals 2. It doesn't work that way. It's in your heart, it's in your soul, it's something you learn along the way. It's an art. Sometimes leadership comes to you whether you want it or not. The times demand and define that it's time for you to lead and leadership to begin. And what do I mean by that? So I was reading a book about President Obama and how he spent some time with Ted Kennedy. And Ted Kennedy and he were talking about the prospect of Obama running for president. At that time, Obama was not seriously considering running for president. But Senator Kennedy said to him, look, the time has found you, and you need to step up to be the president of the United States. The time has found you. Dr. Martin Luther King, when he was a pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, he wasn't thinking about leading the civil rights movement. The people of Atlanta came to him and asked him to help lead an effort, and over time it transitioned into leadership of the entire civil rights effort. But he didn't step out there with the purpose of leading it from the beginning. It came to him. The times called for his leadership. And one thing I've also learned about leadership, you need to have followers. You can't lead unless somebody follows you. And so What I've learned about leadership, there's certain characteristics that really matter in true leaders. And I'm going to outline for you what those characteristics and qualities of leadership, of really good leaderships, what those qualities are. The biggest, most important part and most important characteristic of leadership is passion. Having the passion and that in your heart, in your soul, to do what needs to get done in your community, whatever that passion is, you feel it, you know it, and only you really know it, but other people can see it in you. Perseverance is another characteristic. What do I mean by that? Perseverance means that no matter how tall the mountain, no matter how wide the valley or deep the river, you will always reach your goal. You will do what it takes to succeed. Because in leading, you always get knocked down, you always get knocked back, and you have to continue to get right back up and achieve the goal that you set out to achieve and persevere. Another big and important part of leadership is empathy. Having the empathy in one's personality to understand the other side, to understand how people feel about an issue, and to understand what people are going through, having the empathy to know what's up. Another major characteristic is be a uniter. Bring people together. Don't divide them. The great leaders collect and bring people together of different parts, race, sex, geography, demographics. Unite people. That's a key role of a good leader, rather than to divide them. Another characteristic is be a good communicator. You have to be able to communicate your idea and your message so that the person understands what you're saying. And all too often, people who call themselves a leader can't communicate their message in any way, and that brings them down quite a bit. Another important value and characteristic of a good leader is to have strong personal values. The values of honesty, being ethical, truthful, having certain beliefs that you have raised up on as a child, imposed upon you by your mother and father and those around you, that you need to carry in every day of your leadership style. Another important characteristic is be selfless. Make sure that your role is to put others before yourself. People will recognize when it's about you as opposed to about someone else. So put others' interests above and beyond your own personal interests. And followers will follow you. They'll believe in you because you have shown them that you believe in them. Another important characteristic is listen and welcome dialogue. I remember when President Abraham Lincoln was president, he brought together people who didn't always agree with him on his cabinet. And every day they would debate the issues of the day, sometimes intense debate. But they all came out of that debate with an understanding how they would proceed. But his style was to listen and welcome debate and dialogue among his inner circle. A very important part and characteristic of being a leader is to be a persuader, not a table pounder. Those who have the ability to persuade someone on the other side of the table is a more effective leader than the person who pounds the table every day. The table pounder is a temporary, angry person. The persuader is the person that brings people along And the people you're persuading becomes part of your team because they want to be part of your team, want to be part of your group to help advance an issue or a cause or a mission. Of course, every leader needs to have a vision. No good leader, all great leaders will have a vision, and no good leader bad leaders will never have a good vision. And the final and important part of being a leader is take responsibility. Take responsibility for your failures, because in leadership, there are failures. Embrace the failures. Don't shrug it off, blame somebody else. I think it was President Harry Truman that said, the buck stops here. Well, you know what? He was right. The buck stops right here. Take responsibility for your decisions. And when things go wrong, don't slide and avoid and duck and dodge. People respect those who take responsibility. Columbus is a great example where decades of solid leadership has led this city to become the best city in the nation to live, to work, and to raise a family. Columbus has developed his own culture and his own personality. And it is the best of leadership in this nation in many ways, because Columbus has developed a culture of collaboration that works. It has developed a culture of working together, no matter your background or where you come from, but working together is being important. And a culture of civility. You know, too often these days, the public and people have gone in their own corners in a boxing match, and they never come out of their corners unless they box and fight. I would like us to come from our corners and talk. That culture of civility and culture of working together is an important part of being a leader. And those who have the ability to bring people together in that way and respecting the other's point of view will be really good leaders. Columbus has become so good at this that other city leaders and business leaders from around the whole country have come to Columbus to learn and observe and emulate the Columbus style of leadership. I've met with those from Seattle, Richmond, other cities from around the nation have come here to learn our story. How do we get things done so well? And we have a good story to tell. And as I leave here today, I want you to think about, as you're moving forward in this quest through Leadership Columbus, think about the true measure of your life, what you can do for others. And that's what Leadership Columbus will help you focus on. So I want to thank you for spending some time with me in my living room. And I hope you have a good day. God bless you, and good night.